Answers to the questions. Okay, the first thing we need to do with Pythagoras is consider where the hypotenuse is. So on this one, the hypotenuse is here. And we know that we had a formula that is c squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c squared is the hypotenuse squared. It doesn't matter which of these are a or b. So here I can replace my c squared by x squared, and it's going to be 6 squared plus 8 squared. Now I can carefully work these out, but I'm going to use a calculator. So there's nothing to stop you on this. You'd get to 6 squared plus 8 squared is 100. I happen to know this one because it's a Pythagorean triple. And the square root of that is 10. And that's the minimum amount of working I want to see. And that would gain you enough marks in a GCSE exam. If it says show full working and you don't, and you get the right answer, you'll only get 1 mark, and this could be worth 3 marks. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. And the next one's going to be a little bit more interesting. This is one I can't spot in my head. There's my hypotenuse, because it's opposite the right angle. So I know that x squared is 42 squared plus 55 squared. So x squared is, and for this one I've got 42 squared plus 55 squared, and I get the answer as 4789. 4789. So x is the square root of 4789, and I can leave it like that. That's called exact form. It's quite a big number. I think actually I might work it out, but you don't have to. You could stop there. So square root my answer, and it's 69.2 to 3 sig fig. The advantage of this form is it's exact. It contains all the decimal points for the number. This one is a rounding. And once you've got a rounding, that's potentially a problem, because you may end up with mistakes later on. If this is part of a problem, you may introduce a rounding error, which will continue. So keeping things in this form often is a better idea. So here, I think because I don't really have a feel for what that number is, I would go to there. This one, well, again, my hypotenuse is my x. These are rather nice, this little exercise. And this one's lovely because this is x squared is 1 squared plus 1 squared. So x squared is 2. X is the square root of 2. And I think I'm going to keep it like that. It doesn't have that silly feeling to it. I know it's going to be a number less than 1, but what else it is, I'm not entirely sure. So I think it's about 1.4. But leaving it like that is perfectly acceptable. So let's have a look at this one. Now, my hypotenuse is opposite my right angle, so it's this one. So if I write my question down, I have 12 squared is x squared plus 10 squared. So if I take 10 squared away from each side, I'll just be left with x squared there, won't I? So my x squared is 12 squared, take 10 squared. Because I've taken 10 squared from each side, which effectively gets rid of it on this side, but I need to reduce it on this side as well for it to stay balanced. Well, I know that's 144, I know that's 100, so x squared is 44, so x is root 44. Now, this one should do something fairly interesting. If I put the square root of 44 into my calculator, I get 2 root 11. And this we don't need to know, you don't need to worry about. This is a little bit of an extra. What that's done is it said to itself 44 is 4 times 11. I can square root that bit, but I can't square root that bit. So it's split it up into 2 square roots, and so that's how I've got that. You do not need to worry about how I got that. That's a pleasure reserved for year 10 and 11. And this is just a spoiler. If you left it like that, I'd be fine. If you stuck it into your calculator and left it like that, I'd be fine. If you then want to turn it into a decimal, I don't have a problem with that. You're going to use your surd to decimal button because that's what the S stands for, surd. Okay, so 6, 4x, there's my hypotenuse. So this is 6 squared equals x squared plus 4 squared. So if I take away 4 squared from each side, I'm going to find out what x squared is. 6 squared, take 4 squared. That's 36 take 16. X squared is the square root, x is the square root of 20. And again, your calculator won't say that. Your calculator will notice that what you've got is that. If I square root that, I get 2 times the square root of 5. So that's what your calculator will say, but I'm happy for you to leave it there. If you're able to do this and work it out, you've just got yourself a little bit of head for next year. Thank you.